Hi, and thank you for listening. This is Sherry Andrea, and you can find me at sherryspeaks.com, where you can find 80 plus attunements. And also, let me just mention, my birthday is October 8th. Yeah, I don't usually pay that much attention to my birthday, but I think I'm kind of excited because I'm going to be 57 this year and I've been 56 for the last 4 years. Okay, that's a long story. A story that my son loves hearing me tell because it makes him laugh. But over the next couple of days, I will tell the story. I won't tell it today, but I'll tell the story of how I was 56 for 4 years. And I tie that in with teaching my son about how to stop aging. Anyway, so the readings are still on sale for $15 for 30 minutes. Also, don't forget there are the deep clearings. There's the one that you can get on the Sherry Speaks website that is still $25, where it's not by phone. But you could still ask me even with that one for, like, if there's something specific you're concerned about, you can still ask me, hey, this is what I definitely need work on, will you do that? I get a lot of people asking me about, activating different chakras, and yes, absolutely. The deep clearing, it definitely opens up, or I should say opens up more all your chakras, clears them, balances them. And there is when I either see that it needs repair or my higher self tells me, because I ask my higher self, do the chakras need any more work? And my higher self will either say yes or no. And if my higher self says yes, they need more work, then what I do is I go one by one, each chakra, asking, is it clear? Does it need more work? Until my higher self hits on one and says, yes, that needs more work. And then I take a look. And sometimes it's just spokes that are out of place. Sometimes there is something that needs to be cleared from it. Yes. So the short answer is yes, if you are using the terminology activate, yes. But, chakras don't get really activated. I'm not really sure how we started using the word activate when it came to the chakras, because chakras don't really get activated. Chakras can sometimes be blocked or not open or not fully open. So the short answer to that is yes, all of that is taken care of. Okay, so let's get on with it. I'm really excited about this. This is the first time I've done a video like this. You could call it a reaction video, but it's really just me and you getting a chance to watch the video together for the first time. And so I'm really excited. I've been wanting to do something like this, and maybe eventually, I can do something like this live, where you all can be in the chat and also making comments about what we're watching. Okay, but for now, let's just try this out and see how it works. Now, this video, as you've seen in the title, is about Tesla saying that the numbers 3, 6, 9 are the keys to the universe. Now, I haven't watched the video yet, so I'm watching it and learning right along with you. So let's see what this is about. Now, bear with me. This is the first time I've done this, so just bear with me for a second as I get this going. Okay, hold on. Okay, come on now. Hold on one second while I get this started. I thought I had it all keyed up.
Mathematicians love to place numbers into the world around them. It doesn't matter whether it's areas, probabilities.
Hold on one second. I'm sure you probably couldn't hear that. I don't know. Okay, hold on one second. And let me see if I can do this. I want to make sure you can see the whole thing. Okay. Now, let me do this first. Okay. So The fair disclaimer. Got to do that, right? So I've got the fair disclaimer up, which is Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing, non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Okay, so now let's see if I can make this happen. Okay, here you go. Okay, are we gonna do it? Let's see.
Or geometric bodies.
Okay,
If you have the right
let me take it back.
mathematicians love to place numbers into the world around them. It doesn't matter whether it's areas, probabilities, or geometric bodies. If you have the right formula and a pocket calculator at hand, you can look behind the mathematical facade of everyday life in no time. However, not all mysteries of life can be deciphered with bare numbers or facts. For example, if we're faced with a fundamental decision that could drastically change our future path in life, even the greatest math book couldn't help us. Or could it? If you follow the statements of the world-renowned scientist Nikola Tesla, 3 very special numbers are particularly well-suited to putting your fate in safe hands. In today's video, we want to show you why the pioneer of the electrical world was almost obsessed with the numbers 3, 6, and 9. If you want to know what the derived, life-changing 369 method is all about, you should definitely stay tuned. But before we explain everything, be sure to hit that like button and ring the notification bell for more videos. Also, stick around to the end to find out a bit of information about Tesla that we guarantee you never knew before. A genius and his quirks. Nikola Tesla created the basis for electric motors, the radio, remote control, and the modern alternating current network. Just a quick look at Nikola Tesla's achievements and ideas is enough to convince yourself of the extraordinary genius of the unique scientist. However, anyone who dealt with Tesla as a person, apart from these professional milestones, would quickly realize that the life of the exceptional physicist was not nearly as dazzling as his visions and inventions. Accordingly, throughout his life, Tesla was not allowed to step out of the shadow of his professional colleagues. In fact, in January 1943, the genius died completely alone and penniless in a humble New York hotel. Those people who were lucky enough to accompany Tesla for a short time in his life later spoke not only of the ingenuity of the genius, but also of his peculiar quirks and habits. A brief insight into Tesla's unusual habits goes as follows. According to his own statements, the physicist only slept 2 hours a night. Before taking a bite of his meal, he calculated the exact volume of the food on his fork. The same was true for the volumes of the cups and plates that ended up on Tesla's table. In addition, Tesla seemed to have a great dislike for pearls and jewelry. In fact, there are stories that tell of the inventor not even being able to face women wearing such accessories. Speaking of women, Tesla.
Wow. I'm just thinking about it and I'm like, yeah, but isn't, like, we do that. Which one is it? Is it Weight Watchers where you calculate the points? That's what I was actually thinking of when they talked about, before he took a bite of his food. I'm like thinking, is that where Weight Watchers got it from? Calculate those points. That's amazing. But the jewelry thing, that I can't even fathom, having a disdain, a dislike for jewelry. Yeah, that's weird.
Convinced that a relationship would distract him too much from his work, chose to remain a bachelor until his death. Instead, Tesla preferred the company of feathered contemporaries, having pet birds in place of friends. Since the physicist had a thing for pigeons, he regularly went to Central Park to feed his feathered friends. If he saw an injured pigeon, he took it to his hotel room where he nursed it back to health. But the list of Tesla's peculiarities does not end here.
So, you know what that's making me wonder? The one thing that they didn't say, even though he chose to stay a bachelor, chose to stay single. Hey, many people do. But the one thing that they didn't say, and I'm a little curious, so I might have to research this, is was he actually celibate? Was that more the point to this? Is having this undistracted clarity because of celibacy? Wonder.
As we already mentioned at the beginning, the inventor was particularly taken with the numbers 3, 6, and 9. But how did this quirk develop in his everyday life? Tesla always washed his hands 3 times in a row. Before entering a building, he circled it 3 times. What from our point of view might seem like the crazy quirk of a brilliant scientist, or possibly like a kind of obsessive-compulsive disorder, had a real, almost sacred background from the point of view of the physicist. But what was this passion for numbers all about? As far as we know, he didn't suffer from any serious type of mental illness, so there had to be a plausible explanation for all of this, right? Tesla's love of numbers. If you could understand the magnificence of the numbers 3, 6, and 9, you would have a key to the universe, said Tesla. Whether the genius actually spoke these famous words, or whether they were put into his mouth by mistake, is uncertain. What is certain, however, is that those numbers had a very special status in the life of the scientist. But what was the background to this particular claim? Basically, Tesla was considered an extremely superstitious person who felt that the corresponding numbers followed him everywhere. Accordingly, one would encounter the respective numbers again and again in the most diverse areas of life. Even within human history, these numbers of 3 have a centuries-long tradition. For example, let's think of the world-famous ancient Egyptian pyramids, which are triangular geometric objects. In the Christian faith, the Trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit has always been a fundamental principle. The sanctity that Tesla attributed to these digits, which can each be divided by 3, had no religious meaning, but rather a scientific background. This particular trinity, if you will, was composed of energy, frequency, and vibration, unique cornerstones that Tesla believed held all the mysteries of the universe. Law of attraction.
Hey, do you know what movie that last part of that scene was from, where he was spinning through the air? I do. Doctor Strange.
And affirmations. Where the convictions of a time-honored genius meet the modern social media world, a formula emerges with which one's own path in life can be steered in incredible directions. As is not uncommon in our day, we have a TikToker to thank for this supposedly groundbreaking idea. After spreading like wildfire across the platform, this mathematical formula took the hearts of countless users by storm. But what is the so-called 369 method actually about? To understand this, let's first take a look at the cornerstones of this approach. Affirmation and the law of attraction. The law of attraction describes a so-called law of resonance, which is mainly spoken of in the world of self-help. In the late 19th century, the occultist Helena Blavatsky first formulated the law of attraction when she advanced the basic theory that similar people attract similar people or circumstances. Basically, this assumption, applied to our everyday life, can be put into words as follows. Whoever creates a certain goal, a wish, or an idea within himself, and firmly believes in achieving the goals he has set for himself, will eventually achieve it. Thus, your spiritual energy acts as a type of magnet. Whatever your soul or spirit strives for most, you'll likely achieve or reach in the end. What initially doesn't sound particularly well-founded actually has a number of well-known supporters. Accordingly, Plato, Newton, and Albert Einstein also dealt with this principle. In order to manifest the law of attraction unshakably in the heart, what is known as affirmation is required. In simple terms, this inner manifestation is based on recalling the goals you've chosen in life over and over again until they eventually become a kind of mantra. Once someone has succeeded in affirming their own desires, the chances that the manifestations will become reality are particularly good, at least according to the followers of the law of attraction. In layman's terms, this idea could be described in a more modern way as the idea of, if you build it, they will come. Simply put, whatever you
That is so funny. How many of you have done a session with me and I use that? I use that phrase from the movie Field of Dreams. If build it and they will come. I always use that. I thought that was interesting.
truly believe in the deepest part of your heart, mind, or soul will eventually come true if you truly wish for it to come true and make the appropriate preparations. For those who desire fame or fortune, this doesn't necessarily mean that they'll simply wake up one day and be rich or famous. There are still actions that need to be taken on the part of the individual. However, the more dedicated you are to your dream, the more likely it is to become a reality. If you live each and every day doing whatever you can to get ahead in life, chances are you'll eventually get ahead. But what do these terms have in common with the numbers 3, 6, and 9? The 3-6-9 method. Anyone who'd like to try this life-changing method for themselves should listen very carefully. The number 3 at the beginning refers to the fact that you first think about 3 wishes and formulate them carefully. It's important to formulate your goals as if you had already achieved them. So instead of telling yourself, I want to be happy with my life, it's wiser to say, I'm happy with my life. Other goals could be, I've found my dream job, I've saved enough money, or I'm in a happy relationship.
Yeah, I always, say that whenever I'm teaching about the law of attraction, manifestation, is that the universe is always trying to put things in balance. The universe has to try to match up with what I fully believe to be true. Not just what I'm affirming is true or that I'm stating is true, but it's like repeatedly maybe saying the affirmation or repeatedly thinking that way. It's okay. We're going to have a new car soon. We're going to have a new car soon. And really believing it, the universe has to put things always in balance, so it has to try to match up with what you're saying is true. And if you tie that into what it says in Genesis, that we're made in the image of God, that means the universe has to listen to you, because if you're made in the image of God, you are God. Because I always use the example of a pie. If you have a pie and you take a slice of it and you hand it to somebody, what do you say? You don't say, oh, this is an orange. No, it's still pie. That hasn't changed. It's still pie, even though it's only a slice, but it is the same as the whole. You don't take it and then you don't take a slice of apple pie and go, here's an apple. No, it's still pie. So it stands to reason that if you believe that you are God, the universe is like, okay, she understands who she is. She's God. It then says, okay, and God is saying this is true, and I have to make that match up. I have to put that in. Everything's got to be in balance. So she's saying that's true. I somehow have to make that be true, which is where you have the manifestation, the universe trying to match up with what you're saying is true.
Once you've found the 3 corresponding affirmations for yourself, it's now important to internalize them. This is where the number 6 comes into play. This number refers to repeating the affirmations 6 times a day. However, it's important not to murmur these words dispassionately and casually, but to really formulate them with emphasis and conviction. Finally, the last digit, the number 9, is included in the method. Accordingly, one should always repeat one's own mantras for 9 seconds at a time. An idea of this form of self-discovery is that you write down your own goals with varying frequency. For example, 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times in the evening. Anyone who uses this method regularly and with full conviction should be able to look forward to the first results after just 3 weeks.
Actually, I say sooner than 3 weeks. You'll actually notice synchronicity probably within 2 or 3 days. But doing it like they're suggesting, what does that do? You're so focused on doing it the right way, doing that technique, that now this whole thing has so much of your focus, and that is what it takes to manifest. And that is why a lot of times, people struggle with manifestation and law of attraction, because they're unable to put enough focus on what they're manifesting and on a daily basis. So literally, yeah, I am saying if for a period of time you could put all your focus every day, all day on winning $1 million, well, I fully believe that in a certain amount of time, and not that long, you're going to end up winning $1 million if you're taking the right action, and your action would be playing the lottery. Because obviously, you got to have, build it and they will come. You got to have some way for that money to come into your life, right? So still, you have to take some action. I mean, that could even be looking for your dream job that maybe, I don't know, is going to pay $1 million, or maybe it's going to be in athletics or something, or maybe it's going to be being a movie star. But you still got to take right action. The action still always has to be there, because build it, they will come. You got to have a way for what you're trying to manifest to come to you. I can't just say, I'm going to put all my focus on meeting the man of my dreams and then never leave the house. I never go anywhere other than the gas station and the grocery store. I may need to take more action than that. Maybe I'll need to vary the places that I go. But you get my gist.
Basically, the 369 method pursues the goal of helping everyone to find out what they really want in life. From a purely objective point of view, such an approach makes perfect sense. After all, those who actively deal with their personal goals over and over again, instead of mentally pushing them aside in the rut of everyday life, will be more likely to act in such a way that they'll be achieved sooner or later. However, the 369 method does not claim that things will just fall into your lap. It's well known that it sometimes takes a lot of effort and hard work to achieve your dreams. However, those who are carried along the path to the fulfillment of their desires by their own unshakable manifestations will not feel this burden as a mere burden. Instead, they'll be able to look upon their desires and achievements with a great sense of accomplishment, longing for what they truly desire and making all the preparations to get where they want to be. Tesla's quirks and bizarre behavior. If you made it this far, chances are you're very much interested in Tesla and his personal life. So let's take a look at a few other things that Tesla would become known for. Aside from his hatred for jewelry and all things flashy, he also had a distaste for anything that was round. This is an odd quirk to explain, but it also seems that he simply couldn't stand to be around round objects. He also hated touching someone else's hair other than his own. To make matters worse, Tesla had a very difficult sleeping pattern and preferred to only sleep for around 2 hours each night. He would begin his work at around 9 a.m. each day and would work throughout the day until 6 p.m. At exactly 6:10 p.m., he would stop his work and have dinner, ensuring that he wore his white gloves with every meal. After he finished his meal, he would get back to work and continue working until 3 in the morning. living. Even though he clearly lived a very unhealthy lifestyle, Nikola Tesla managed to live to see the age of 86 and was, all around, a relatively healthy person. Though, despite his decent health, he was often struck by the obsessive behavior that led him to struggle with basic daily tasks. For example, he was obsessed with the number 3. Anytime he washed his hands, he would wash them 3 times in a row. If he needed to enter a building, he would walk a lap around the building 3 times before entering. It was this behavior that, in more recent years, has led...
No wonder he was in such good shape. No wonder he lived until his 80s. He was getting exercise. Because, I was thinking, I was like, well, if you're in New York City, let's say you're in Manhattan, there are some buildings that take up a whole block. And if you've ever been in New York City, walking a block, like from one intersection to the next, that whole block, that's a long walk. That's not like here in Florida, a block in our downtown is fairly short, fairly small. New York, if he walked around the building 3 times before entering, I'd be like, yeah, I showed up for the job interview, but before I came into the building, I was just too tired to do the interview. Oh my goodness. And can you imagine not liking round things? I think I like round things. I do. I like round things, but I get it. If he was obsessed with 369, he was probably also obsessed with angles. If you think about it, to him, yeah, a round object would probably seem pretty boring.
Experts to believe that he most likely suffered from some form of autism spectrum disorder, with the most common belief being that he had Asperger's syndrome, which is often described as a high-functioning version of autism that can often go undiagnosed. It was July 10th, 1856, when Nikola Tesla would be born. However, his birth was far from simple. Tesla's mother, Georgina, was tasked with giving birth to the future genius in the midst of a lightning storm. This may not sound like a huge deal today, considering we have insulated buildings, hospitals, and all sorts of wait staff to help with deliveries. Though for Tesla's birth, all he had were his parents and a midwife that helped out with the labor process. Back during these times, most people were very superstitious. Many people believed that the weather and circumstances surrounding a child's birth could impact the way they grew up in the future, deeply affecting the child on an ethereal level. Because of this, it seems fitting that Nikola Tesla was born during a lightning storm, considering the young man would eventually become the father of modern electricity and many electronic devices. Whatever the case may be, one thing is for sure. Tesla had become a world-renowned genius, and his work all those years ago has led to our lives, hundreds of years later, being transformed for the better. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button and ring the notification bell for more great videos.
Wow. Okay. So I don't know what you guys think about that. I don't know. I thought it was pretty I thought it was pretty interesting. I don't know. There were some things about him that were very interesting. I still am baffled about the whole not liking jewelry, but that's about something like what is it? How you look, how you appear to people. it's not the real part of you. I mean, think about it. I could be wearing this big, beautiful diamond necklace, but what if that doesn't really match up with who I am? What if I'm a very down to earth person and I spend all my time outside in nature, gardening and stuff? Well, maybe that doesn't match up with who I truly am inside. So maybe he didn't like it because it distracted from seeing the true person and who they really were and what they were really all about. But I found that very interesting, although I must say, I just gotta be honest, a little bit disappointed because I don't really think it addressed the main question that it was saying it was going to, which was why he thought they were the keys to the universe. I don't really think that it answered that question, unless he's saying the answer to the keys to the universe has to do with manifestation. And yes, in a way it does, because okay, so when we think you know God created earth in 6 days, rested on the seventh. Okay, we also say that the manifestation aspect of God is the feminine aspect. So I can understand him, tying the keys to the universe to manifestation. So in that way, I get it. But I still don't feel like the video did a great job of answering the question that it posed, which was, what was it about 369 that were the keys to the universe? And then I also didn't like that near the beginning of the video, notice that they said, well, we don't know if he actually said that or if those words were attributed to him, even though he didn't say it. So I kind of didn't like that, because it's like, oh, you could research so much about him, but you couldn't research whether he actually ever said that, or whether anybody can say, oh yeah, I know for a fact he believed that. So there were some things that I didn't like about the video, and I definitely, if I come across another video that I feel addresses 369 more, as well as ties it into sacred geometry, definitely I'll bring that video to you. Feel free to comment about what you thought, or if these numbers have any significance to you, or ever have. Even if it's just one of the numbers, feel free to comment and say what that number has meant to you, or what you have always found interesting or unique or amazing about it. I appreciate you watching it with me. I hope you like this. Please also comment if you liked doing this, because if you do, then I think that what we should do is do some lives. If I schedule lives at different times, and if I actually pre-schedule it, so when it's gonna happen, maybe you have a couple of days in advance that we're gonna be doing it and we're gonna be live. I think it would be really cool. And then of course, any video that you come across where you're like, oh, you should use it on this video, please, definitely, you can either go to my website and go to the contact page and email me the link to it, or you can put it in the comments here. Thank you, and remember, you can find me at sherryspeaks.com. Please do remember to like and subscribe, and all my information is also in the description box below. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.